Okay. So Ted Cruz won more states against Donald Trump than George H.W. Bush won against Ronald Reagan. So here. Okay. So here. In 2016, Ted Cruz won 11 states, and he got 25% of the Republican primary votes. Ronald Reagan in 1980, he won 9 states, and he got 24% of the Republican primary votes. So Ted Cruz won more states against Donald Trump than George H.W. Bush won against Ronald Reagan. In my opinion, the 2016 Republican primary, the 2016 Republican primary was much harder for Trump in comparison to the 2020 and 2024 Republican primary. One of the reasons why I say the 2016 was hard, in my opinion, even though it was not hard, is because Ted Cruz won more than he won more than one state. He managed to win 11 states. He never came close on winning the Republican nomination. The best outcome he could have achieved was a contested primary. So, what was Ted Cruz's plan on? Ted Cruz's plan was winning the Indiana primary to deny Trump the nomination. That was his plan in 2016. By winning the Indiana primary, he could have prevented Trump from reaching the required delegate to be the nominee in 2016. But once Ted Cruz lost the Indiana primary and the California primary, he knew he was not going to stop Trump from getting the Republican nomination, and that's why he dropped out. This version of Trump Ted Cruz went against, this was Trump first time running as president. That's why he was able to win um, 11 states. But when you serve for 4 years as the president, you become more popular. So we fast forward to the 2020 Republican primary. So I fast forward to the 2020 Republican primary. Boom. This was a sweep. Bill Weld was a two-time governor of Massachusetts. And then I heard And then I read about him that he won re-election by one of the biggest government margins, something like that. So he was a two-time governor of Massachusetts, and Trump knocked him out of the park because he was the incumbent running for re-election. When you're the incumbent running for re-election, you become more popular. And the same thing applies to 2024. Trump went against Nikki Haley. She won 2 states. She got 20% of the Republican primary votes. Just about just about the same amount of percentages that Ted Cruz got in the 2016 Republican primary. But the biggest difference is Trump was going, the Trump Nikki Haley was facing was a Trump that already served for 4 years and he was already popular amongst Republican primary voters. That's why she only won 2 states. So, so 2028, the Republican primary should be competitive because Trump is about to exit the stage. And I hope he does not endorse anybody in the Republican primary. He should let it play out. Now, if his daughter Ivanka Trump do run, she will be the nominee because she's going to she's going to beat anyone in a Republican primary. But whoever her challenger will be, that challenger will win a couple of states, like Ted Cruz did against Donald Trump back in 2016. He won 11 states. But Ivanka Trump will be the nominee, and it will not be close. Now, Ronald Reagan, okay, so this was Ronald Reagan's second time running for president. He lost against he lost against what was his name? Gerald Ford in a Republican primary. Gerald Ford won 27 states. Ronald Reagan won 24 states. And it was very close. And then Jimmy Carter, and then in the 1976 primary, no, in the 1976 general election, He lost against Jimmy Carter. Yeah. So Gerald Ford lost against Jimmy Carter. But in 1980, Ronald Reagan came back and then he destroyed Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter only won 3 states, and he won his home state of Georgia. But in 1976, Republican um, Republican primary, it was very close. This is what you call being for democracy, actually running a primary. And even the 2008 let's just look at the 2008 Democratic primary. The 2008 Democratic primary, Barack Obama went against Hillary Clinton and John Edwards. It was a close primary. The popular vote was close. Um, the percentages of the vote, Hillary got 48% of the vote. Obama got 47.4% of the votes. He won 33 contests. She won 23. So, the 1976 Republican primary and the 2008 Democratic primary, this is what you call part of democracy, actually running a primary. But we did not see that in 2024. In 2024, the primary needed to be fixed for Biden for him to be the presumptive nominee. What if the Democrat was actually for democracy? Because RFK Jr. wanted to run as a Democrat. He had higher favorability ratings, and there were polls where he was polling at 30%. He could have been a real challenge for Biden's nomination. But the primary needed to be fixed for Biden because he cannot win fair and square, and he cannot be reelected as the nominee in a fair democratic process. Okay, so what else? Kulinsky. So 1 second. So here, so this is an example of the primary needed to be rigged for Biden. The South Carolina primary needed to be put first, and Kyle Kulinsky covered it.
In the DNC have moved to effectively rig the 2024 Democratic primary in his favor. They're definitely.
Yep. I don't need to watch it. It was rigged on his favor. The Republican, on the other hand, nothing was rigged for Trump. He came, he won 2016, 2020, 2024. He did not, and in the 2024 Republican primary, he did not need to attend the debates because he knew he was going to have the nomination in the bag because he was popular. He served for 4 years, and people know his record. And they were happy with what he did in office, his economic achievements. Nikki Haley managed to win 2 states, and she got 20% of the Republican primary vote. But Trump was going to be the nominee. And even in 2020, Trump did not need to rig the GOP primary in his favor for him to be reelected, for him to get the nomination. But Biden needed because he was a lame duck president. Now, what else? What else I want to say? Okay, so I remember what I want to talk about. Okay, so remember. Okay, so good. Okay, so what I also want to say is people like Kyle Kulinsky who like to say Trump policy only benefit the top 1%. I think he's just full of crap. Because I can just go to Trump archive and I can look at his list of accomplishments and I can tell him he's wrong. So for example, middle class family income increased nearly 6,000, more than 5 times the gain during the entire previous administration. What people on the left, people like Kyle Kulinsky and people like Pe- People who are Democrats in general, they like to say Trump policy only benefit um, the wealthy, and I tell them they're wrong because middle class family wages and um, increasing to 6,000. These are not people from the top 1%. The jobless claim hit 50-year low. Income rose in every single metro area in the United States. That was before COVID. And even with COVID, 56% of Americans said they were better off during the pandemic. And I even talked about it before. How 56% of Americans said they were better off, um, which is more than George W. Bush and Barack Obama when they ran for re-election. But they can get reelected, but he cannot get reelected in 2020. GDP growing by 33%. A typical family of four earning 75,000 receive an income tax cut of more than 2,000. Okay. So people on the left, people like him and Bell of the Range and so forth, when he when they said his policy only benefit the top 1%, I say they're full of crap because I can just pull up his accomplishment. And this is what he achieved with people, with minorities and middle class people and so forth. And then can I just so this is an example of an American waitress. That was back in March 12. She got 4,000. She got 4,000 tax refund from President Trump policy. So how much does waitress make in USA? So waitresses earn an average salary of 32,855, or roughly 15.80 per an hour. So this is an example of someone who's not in the top 1% and is benefiting off Trump no tax on tips policy. So when guys like Kyle Kulinsky say that Trump raised taxes for the middle class or the poor, I can look at him in the eyes and say, you're full of crap. And he needs to stop having his nose so far up Democrat politician butt. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to end the stream now. I don't really care if people are in my chat or they're not in my chat because I'm built different. And I also don't block anybody. Anybody can come get to smoke. No one is getting blocked and my chat is open.